In our last video, we made a ball bounce and change colors randomly. It worked, but let's be honest, it's a bit chaotic. The colors jump, they flicker, and sometimes you get a brown or a grey that doesn't even pop up. Today, we are moving from random to Colorsys library. Instead of asking Python to pick a random number between 0 and 255, we are going to use the Colorsys library to cycle through the hue spectrum and think of it like moving a slider across a perfect rainbow. This doesn't just makes your project look 10 times better, it teaches you how professional developers handle smooth animations and data conversions. Let's level up our Python visual. Let's start by bringing all our tools. So let's get started. I'm going to use import turtle. Once done, we'll make sure that I'm importing the very important Colorsys library responsible for adding the hue to our ball. And also I want to control the animation, so that's why time is important. Now once that is done, I'm going to make it a screen setup. Now when we talk about screen setup, we're going to follow the same thing that we have been doing. Screen turtle dot turtle, screen turtle dot screen function, followed by the background color, as well as need to have the screen setup. Yes, always make sure you're setting up the screen before setting up the color. So setup, let's give width as 800 and height as 600. So we are ready with the screen, and so let's add a very crucial line, that is screen.tracer. That's gonna be helpful. Now I'm going to set it to 0 because this will make sure the turtle stops from drawing every tiny movement. It will tell the computer wait until I say update to show the picture. Basically, it will help us to remove all the glitch that might happen when we are using turtle. The same game can be the same animation can be made using the Pygame library also, but I want to keep it simple for now, so that's why we are using the turtle over here. Now let's try to create the ball. So to create the turtle ball, I'm simply gonna name it as the variable ball. Turtle. And let's add this one over here. And of course, I'm going to give it the shape circle. And it's a predefined keyword. And also let's add the shape size, which we already did in the previous one also. Let's add it somewhere around 2.5. So the size also decides how much faster the ball will move. So if you have a bigger size ball, then the ball will have to move a little bit slowly so that it does not goes out or there is lots of flickering going on. And let's make sure that we have the pen up with us. And of course we need to add the speed, because without the speed it won't be possible. Now here we have indeed used the speed to make the internal animation speed for some instance, right? Ultimately, the speed will depend on the movement also. Now, let's talk about the variables that we need. So variables are basically related to the speed and all the things which will be dealing with the movement of the turtle. So let's get started. I'm going to set the X and the Y coordinate, which is going to be 0 for now, and then I'm going to add the speed in direction X, which is horizontal. Initially let's set it slowly, and I'm going to use it as slower for maximum smoothness, because here as we are using the turtle, so it makes this kind of animations a little bit glitchy. We want to add the smoothness, so that's why we need to use this. And let's add 2 over here also. Now we are going to talk about the bounce logic later on, but for now I'm going to set the hue, which is really responsible for adding all the things. Now when we talk about hue is basically the part of our HSV color system, right? It helps us to convert that RGB color code into the hue and allows the computer to choose the color among variety of colors, right? Now if I asked you to make a rainbow using RGB, you would have manually calculated red, green and blue values simultaneously. For example, like more red, now it is less green, now add blue. So it's a mathematical nightmare. Hue is like a color wheel. Instead of mixing 3 colors, you only change one number, that is the hue value, and then you spin around the wheel. Now it helps you to create a smooth rainbow transition incredibly easy because you are just moving a pointer in a circle. So that's what this hue variable is going to help us do. Now hue value ranges from 0.0 to 1.0, right? So if you move towards more 1.0, you will get more darker intensity of that color. So now we are going to set it 0.0 because we want to complete that whole circle. So starting point will be 0.0. Then gradually we will keep on increasing the value. Now, when we talked about increasing the value, for that, we will have to first of all use the loop, which will help us to make sure the animation is happening continuously. So let's talk about the while loop and while true. And here I'm gonna make sure that the x coordinate of the ball is getting increased with the help of ball x plus speed x. So now when we talk about ball y, speed y. So this is done. Now we have set the x and y coordinate of the ball, right? Now it's time to add the bounce logic to it. Let's talk about the bounce logic. To make it bounce, we know that we'll have to deal with the coordinate system, right? We don't want it to go off screen. So that's why let's try to add this one over here. So let's say if x coordinate of the ball is greater than somewhere around greater than or equals to 375, or ball x coordinate from the left side is less than 375, then we will make sure that it bounces back. And now what we are doing here, we are basically making sure that we are flipping the direction. So if the speed of the ball is in positive, that means it's moving toward the right side. As soon as this condition becomes true, we are going to decrease, or we are going to flip it by multiplying it with the negative number. Basically, if the speed is in positive, it's going to move in the right direction, and if it reaches at the certain right point, we are going to flip it with the negative. So this is how things are going to happen, and I'm going to make sure that the speed x is getting multiplied by -1. So now it will be negative. Now if this is done, that's alright. Now let's talk about the y coordinate of the ball. And if the y coordinate of the ball is somewhere less than 275, or the y coordinate of the ball is less than -275. Okay, now once that is done, we are going to decrease, or we are going to flick the speed of the ball in the y direction, simply multiplying it with -1. So this is the bounce logic. We are simply flipping the ball by doing the negative and the positive in the speed. And then we will also make sure that the ball goes to its location. So to take it on the location, we are using go to, followed by the current x and y coordinate of the ball. Once it is done, we are ready to move ahead. So this is how the bouncing and the movement of the ball has been done, right? Now let's talk about this, which is basically our color magic, which is almost the last one. Now, as I mentioned, that we have to make sure that the value of this hue starts from 0.0 and it literally moves around the wheel so that its last value becomes 1.0. Now I want to get all the possible combinations of the colors, and that too in smooth manner. So for that, we are basically using here, we would say color magic. So for the color magic, all you have to do is increment the value of hue plus 0.2. So gradually it will keep on increasing, and the computer will be able to access through all the possible colors in that wheel. Now, I'm also going to make sure that the color does not stop as soon as it reaches that point. So I'm going to make sure if the value of hue gets increased by 1.0, above 1.0, I will reset it back to 0.0 so that the same cycle repeats. Now let's add this color. So I'm going to create a variable as RGB and Colorsys dot HSV to RGB, and here Hue is the only pointer whose value was changing. Saturation will remain same and the value will also remain same. This will make sure that all the colors are being accessed. And of course, I need to add it to the color of the ball. So here we go, RGB. Now once that will be done, we will make sure that all the things that are happening are getting updated with the help of update function, as well as time.sleep will allow me to make sure that I control the animation and CPU does not run too much fast. Okay, let's hit run and see how it goes. So here, if you will notice, there is very frequent change in the colors, right? And the colors are changing really quickly, which does not look that good. So you can see that I am changing its value here. So it is happening because of this hue color, which is making sure that the color gets changed, right? So here it is 0.2. I want the colors to change really slowly. So that's why I'm going to increase the value over here. Now once I do that, you'll see the magic. This time the code is different a little bit and the ball is moving way more slowly, as well as the color is changing. You will see a difference that it does not wait to hit the wall, right? The colors are changing continuously. They don't wait for the collision. So this is how we can use this Colorsys library to add a hue and a gradient in the same object, which is way more fun to do. I have a task for you. If you want, you can change the speed and see how faster the ball is going to move. And also, I'll give you one more task in the pinned comment. Make sure you attempt that. Hope you like this video. I will see you in the next one. Thank you for watching.